Welcome, everybody, to episode 1 of the Watching Movies with My Kids podcast. My name is Patrick, and I have here with me
Zion
and
Xavier.
And those are my two kids who I watch movies with. That appears to be the name. That's the name I thought of, but apparently it might not be good enough for some people. So today we're going to be talking about a movie that we watched yesterday. The movie was called
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yes, an amazing movie that I watched when I was probably about Zion's or Xavier's, one of their ages. I don't remember. It's been a while. But we decided to watch that yesterday, so I thought we'd talk about it and get some ideas about the movie. So first thing, let's start out. I'll ask you guys some questions, and we'll try and get some ratings for the movie, see what we think. First thing, maybe one you could start. Who wants to start first?
Me.
Okay, Xavier, could you please just try and explain what the movie was about?
It was about Bill and Ted. They were trying to start a band, but they had school and they had a big history test. So there's this guy named Rufus, and he's with time-traveling dudes, and he has a time-traveling phone box, and basically...
And it calls it a phone box. That's how old we are. It's a phone booth. Phone booth. I know you guys don't see them anymore, but okay, continue.
And what happens is Bill and Ted go to different times and pick up different people, such as Napoleon, Beethoven, Beethoven. They also pick up Abraham Lincoln and people like that. And at the end of the movie, they finish their history test.
Do you have anything to add, Zion?
Not really. Except.
Not really, except.
Maybe the fact that he didn't really add the part about at the end when Rufus told them that they created kind of a new world. They kind of created a new Earth.
Oh, okay. So the reason they had to complete the test was because they are the future saviors of the world or something. Mm-hmm. Somehow these two knuckleheads, right? So yes, that's essentially. Here's what they said on the movie on the back of the VHS tape. I found this. It says Bill Preston, Alex Winter, and Ted Logan, Keanu Reeves, are two excellent dudes facing one heinous history exam in the whacked out time warp comedy Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. With the help of Rufus and ultra cool messenger in a time traveling phone booth, the triumphant twosome, bag a bevy of historical heavyweights like the bodacious philosopher Socrates, one very excellent barbarian Genghis Khan, the short dead dude Napoleon, and Noah's wife Joan of Arc, to stage the most hysterical high school project ever. History is about to be rewritten by two guys who can't spell in this hilarious hit, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I do like that part, two guys who can't spell. That's funny. But so let's just start. What are your favorite moments when you watch the movie? What do you think, Zion? We'll start with Zion. What was your favorite moments when you watched the movie?
I think one was probably the very beginning when you heard him playing pretty awful music. That was kind of hilarious. Otherwise, when the light show, when they did the history report, they had a very cool light show in the beginning, and I really enjoyed how most people thought in the audience that they were just actors or something, but really they didn't realize that they were actually from time itself. They were from history itself. So I think it was really cool. And then another very cool part was when Abraham Lincoln, who was the last one to speak, he said, "Party on, dudes," which seemed kind of odd and funny because they really didn't invent the word dude till the late 1900s. So it really seems cool that Abraham Lincoln would say that.
I was kind of surprised when I watched it again, and I saw that moment when they had the light show. And I was surprised when we were watching it, it was like, it did give you a little bit of goosebumps when they started that out and they had like the introduction. I thought I was surprised. I don't remember that being like that, but it was actually like a well composed moment in the movie. I thought very cool, kind of to see again and enjoy that. And Xavier, what about you? What was your favorite moments?
In the beginning when they were talking about the history test, when the teacher was like, and all you think that Napoleon is a short dead dude, and all that you learn about Caesar and that is he's a salad guy.
Or wasn't a salad dude or something? It's
He
always
was a
dude.
salad dressing guy, I believe.
Yes.
Something like that. I know when we were watching the movie, there was a lot of... You guys seemed to be laughing a lot through the movie. I did think there wasn't really a lot, though, that wasn't for kids, I don't think. There was a couple things.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that weren't for kids, maybe?
I think they swore once or twice.
Yeah, they swore, I think, a couple times. They had the one part where Napoleon repeatedly swore,
Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
just that moment, I think.
Yeah, it was in
And you
French.
Yeah,
It was
you
in
didn't
French, yeah.
really-
But they had the translation on the bottom.
Yeah.
They did.
But it wasn't so bad, I don't think, right? Considering other movies.
Yeah.
And I think one more time they said the S word, I think. But
Yeah,
I
think...
also like the part when they were thinking about where Napoleon would go, and they show Napoleon at Waterloo or whatever, going down the slide. Like,
Yeah.
jump in.
you know the interesting part, you know why they call it Waterloo in the movie?
Why?
Because that was where Napoleon had suffered his greatest defeat, was in a place called Waterloo in Europe, actually. That's kind of a little joke. So that's why he went there, because he wanted to go to Waterloo, and that was this big inside joke for the movie.
I also think maybe another part was when Napoleon at Waterloo, he lifted the kids up. You definitely should not do that if you're at a water park, just to get ahead of people in the line.
Yeah, I think today that would not work, and you couldn't have that in the movie. I think that people would be calling the police right away.
Yeah.
I think in the 80s, like 1988 when it came out, if you saw that, you'd be like, oh, that's okay, he's a stranger picking up a little kid on the water slide. That was... And I don't think he would have gotten away with a lot of that. Especially the clothes he was wearing, they would never have let him wear that to go
Yeah.
swimming. It was kind of disgusting, probably, I bet. That's what I was thinking when I was watching. Like, how dirty is that? What do you think were the best things for kids your age in the movie? Like, if other kids were going to watch it that were from your grade, what would they have enjoyed, do you think? What would be the...
Probably the first part, the last part, and then, like, at the very, very middle.
The very...
Yeah, when they had the time traveling,
Mm-hmm.
and
When they got caught and they couldn't get out, or...
no, when they were at the police station and they were like just done time traveling, and it had the note, it's like, P.S. Duck.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the perfect timing.
I liked how they just could kind of just like think, oh, remember this, and suddenly it would happen.
Like the trash
Because-
can. Oh, remember a trash can. What trash can?
And
It said Wild Stallions Rock.
And how... So you guys understood how they got the trash can there, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
because they had future selves there, and there are going to be theoretically more selves before them. They're going to keep coming. It's basically a loop in history.
I thought it was kind of interesting when they did that. I remember those scenes from the movie, but watching it again, it does work, I think.
Yeah.
It's like you would think you're not going to believe it, but I think it was just the movie was so dumb, kind of, that it was okay. And when they did it, it was like, I don't care. I know that they could just solve any problem that way, and they kind of did at the end, like, oh, we're in this problem.
Or like the keys.
Yeah, like the keys, like, oh, we'll just leave the keys here. But I think it works for the movie because they're so dumb, and when they do it, it's just so funny, I think. Like that's
Yeah, it's so dumb it's funny.
that's the one thing I noticed about the characters was that they played dumb so well, and it was so funny when they did stuff. Like I didn't realize Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. I remember seeing it and I loved it when I was a kid, but seeing it again, I thought it was a lot better than other movies that try and do the same thing. Who was the best character in the movie, do you think? Who was like your favorite character?
My favorite character would probably have to be Ted.
You like Ted the most? What do you like about Ted?
Or Rufus. Those two are like tie with Bill.
Yeah.
Because
So
at the end, Rufus, they asked him if he played, and he's like, I play a little, and then he started jamming out. He's
Yeah.
like so
Very
much
good.
better than them. And when at the end when they're like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, they were playing this way, and it was like,
Yeah, they couldn't play anything.
Yeah, and then it seems surprising that their music will eventually change the world.
Yeah,
But that's why you like Rufus, because he could jam.
yeah.
What about you, Zion? Who was your favorite character in the movie?
I have to say, probably Billy the Kid.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, he was. I think like after watching that movie, especially most kids haven't seen that movie.
Mhm.
I think a lot of kids would actually prefer him. They'd be best character. One, because during the light show, he shot out one of the lights at the intro when most people didn't believe that he was actually Billy the Kid, and even after they still didn't believe. And two, that they made him a very fantastic intro when Bill and Ted were in the Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
They actually did a very good intro for introducing the character
Mm-hmm.
without actually really showing his face until after. And then
Oh, okay.
and then how he actually met Bill and Ted
Hmm.
was through he was looking for two men, blah blah blah, and then
Okay.
I think it was really interesting how they did that. Like
So it was more organic for his character, because you didn't see
Yeah.
his character, and then like Billy the Kid, and then they finally show his face, and he's
Yeah.
kind of. Whereas the other characters, the other historical figures, they just kind of grabbed them.
yeah.
It was very quickly. Oh, this guy, or this guy.
Like Abraham
But I
Lincoln.
think the
Yeah.
only reason they went into
But you should know Abraham Lincoln.
True.
I think the only reason they went so in depth with him
Mm-hmm.
was because
He's like-
he was their second person to pick up, and Billy the Kid eventually helped them out on so many other things. And I think, again, with that introducing him, I liked how they made him kind of mysterious. I mean, even at the end, you didn't know that much about him.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was why too. I think because he was also a character that, like historically, I think it was harder for them to do something with. Because really, Billy the Kid, like now that I know about history more, like there's not as much about Billy the Kid. He's kind of actually got a short life. He died young, and he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Abraham Lincoln, who did all those amazing things, or Genghis Khan, and some of these other characters.
Yeah, I like Genghis Khan. My favorite two parts I'd have to say was first when they were picking up Abraham Lincoln. When Abraham Lincoln opened the door, he just
He just
kinda-
grabbed him.
Yeah, he just grabbed him by his shirt and tossed him in. And then my second favorite part would probably have to be when he sabotaged the sports center.
Yeah.
And he had this skateboard. It's like, jump on the trampoline, flip, and land back on the skateboard.
Like,
I mean, he was wearing football stuff, hockey stuff, and he was riding his skateboard with a baseball bat.
True. I thought. Yeah, I know you were laughing really hard at that part. I think that's one of the coolest things too about the movie is when they have the characters like. That was my favorite part in the mall when they're interacting and they just kind of set them in pairs and they have like. I thought that it was interesting how Billy the Kid and Socrates just became buddies kind of, and I was like, I want to see a movie about those guys just hanging around in modern day. And Socrates can't speak English, and Billy the Kid thinks he's cool, and they're just kind of doing normal stuff. Or I thought Sigmund Freud was interesting. How he was like, what they say, geek.
Yeah,
He
again.
he kind of came in. He's like, what do you guys do? He's got a corn dog. I like that. I thought that when they put the characters off on their own, I wish they had that was a little bit longer because it was fun when they got the characters all together. That was one of the only complaints I'd have is that. There were some parts they could take out. I'd like to just see more of a little bit longer with those characters together, but maybe it wouldn't have been as good of a movie because it was kind of nice. It was short. It was very quick. Things happened very
I also
fast.
liked how they had Beethoven playing the keyboard and all of those pianos. And then I also liked when they had the one night and she was doing the dance class. And
Oh,
they had
Joan
that,
of Arc, yeah.
Yeah, and they had that all kind of together. They showed like every part little,
Mhm.
and then they had Beethoven's music like in the background.
Yeah, just a lot of cool parts. See, a lot of favorite parts you didn't realize, right?
I think also the ending of how they ended that mole scene was kind of interesting because when they were on the when they went on to the ice skating arena or whatever, the security guys all jumped on top of Genghis Khan. Like they literally piled 8 or 9 guys just on him, and same with Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
And then they just took Beethoven away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the ending was really smooth, and then how they got to the next part of showing Bill and Ted, I think it was smooth how they did it.
I also like the part when they introduced Billy the Kid, and then when
I know.
they
Talk about
partnered
that.
up,
No.
and they're like, "Hey, Mr. the Kid."
Oh yeah, that was. I think
Hello,
they had a lot of
Mr.
those
Kid.
moments. I thought you were gonna say another part in the beginning there where something happened that wasn't very. It was kind of disgusting, but I think they had all these moments where they just kind of wanted to show how dumb these guys were. And I thought that was nice. And actually, they weren't dumb. It was kind of endearing, and it was like, oh, these guys are nice guys. I want to know these guys.
Yeah.
I also like that they had Bill and Ted they were both dumb, but Bill was more like a leader. Like he always had a plan,
Yeah.
and Ted was kind of the follower, but he was the one who would just kind of go off and do things. And,
Like the lightsaber battle.
I knew you'd like that part.
I am Darth Knight.
That was Ted, I
am-
think it was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm Darth Ted. Well, I am Luke Bill.
But yeah, I wanna know. Here's a little quiz. Which of those actors, do you think would be in a major action movie?
Oh.
If you had to pick one of them, I bet you wouldn't guess. Which actor do you think, and has been in many major action movies, became an
Bill?
action star? What do you
Bill's
think?
actor?
Any idea? Which one do you think would be a major action movie star?
Wait, out of all the characters? Or
Out of all the characters in the movie,
Ooh.
who would be a major action star since that time became like a major action star?
I'd probably say.
Just take a guess. It's not a quiz. Just
The detective dad or whatever? It was Ted's dad?
Maybe Ted's dad. What do you think?
I think it was Bill.
No. Ted.
What?
Right? Ted actually became. He still is. He just had the John Wick movies come out.
Mm-hmm.
John Wick 1, John Wick 2, The Matrix, which was huge. Maybe we'll watch The Matrix. That's got some cursing and stuff in it. But he was an action superstar in that one. He became super famous. He was in a movie called Speed. He was in all sorts of like action
Speed?
movies. Yeah.
Was that a Marvel movie?
No. But anyways, yes, Ted. Keanu Reeves has been in a bunch of action movies since then. You wouldn't believe it when you watch him. Like his first couple movies, he played this dumb guy. And then when you see him, when you even watch him now, he's good in that role. And every time you watch him in other movies, I just wait for him to say, "Whoa." I just wait for him to do that in all his movies. But yeah, he is an action star today.
I also liked in the movie when they kind of had him when they said, "Hey, this is a history test, not a babe's test."
Yeah, that was. I see some of those things. I don't think they wouldn't go like saying babes all the time. Nowadays, they'd probably be like, "No, you can't do
Or dude.
Or I bet the part with Genghis Khan that wouldn't work today.
Yeah.
Like the moment he pulled out that thing, there would have been like the police, and they would have had like the Department of Homeland Security and be like, "You're a terrorist," and attack him. So it doesn't work as well.
But
if
then
they said it
Genghis
wrong.
Khan would just take his pokey stick and
His spear.
yeah, it was pokey.
How about this? Do you think parents should show their children this movie?
Yes,
Most definitely.
Why?
because it's basically a funny kids movie, but at the same time, you're kind of learning something.
I think maybe kids under like 8 shouldn't watch it.
Hmm.
I think just because just of that slight amount of cursing.
Yeah.
But I think kids over 8 and especially teens, I think they should watch it because it's gonna. Most of those teens are gonna find it quite amusing.
Hmm.
I think it's definitely a movie parents should let their kids watch. But again, not under 8 probably, just because of the amount of cursing.
I would say probably under 5.
Oh, you. That's because he's 8. That's why.
Yeah.
That's because you're 8. I think that's fair. I think one of the things I remember about this movie was when I got older, I knew who Sigmund Freud was. I knew who Beethoven was. I knew like all those people.
Yeah.
So when I got older, I was like, and I was introduced to them in like history class. I was like, oh yeah, short dead dude.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, I had an idea about who that guy was, and I knew like I knew like I knew Sigmund Freud. There was something. He was a psychiatrist, psychoanalyst. I know he talked about mothers, because that was one of the jokes in the movie. So I was like, oh, Sigmund Freud. And then I learned about it. I was like, oh, that was the joke they were trying to make. So it was kind of like understanding a little deeper what it was.
And I also liked how they kind of made the joke at the end again, adding on to Zion's with Abraham Lincoln, because he said, and one of the rules that we had back in my day, be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes.
Yeah, I thought that was... Obviously, Abraham Lincoln would never say that.
Yeah. But
That was the joke, though. That was...
Yeah.
And I think the way he said it, too, he was so exuberant when he said it.
Like dramatic.
Yeah.
I think kind of going off of your idea,
Mhm.
with how when you got older, that you would start to actually understand these people. I think that's the reason you should kind of watch it, because then you'll actually
You'll get a better idea.
get the idea of the jokes instead of kind of being like, that's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
And then you'll also have a better idea when you get into those classes
Mhm.
who this character is and what he does, basically.
And I think, too, the jokes... Like, the kids can get the jokes, but they can get a little bit more later, but it's not too deep. I also like that there wasn't a lot of talking jokes. It wasn't...
Yeah.
Like, now when you watch movies, there's a lot of talking and, like, this back and forth. And it was a lot more, like, physical jokes. Like, guys running around and getting hit and guys doing just silly things. And it had a little... Like, it was funny in that way, which I liked.
Like him falling down the stairs.
Yeah, like falling down the stairs, or when Napoleon first gets shoved down the slide, and it's kind of like physical humor, which I thought nowadays it's hard. A lot of humor is like Tony Stark talking to Thor, and it's just talky.
It's like,
But again, there was some talking jokes, like when Rufus was first showing them about it, and they went back to Napoleon's time, which was
1989.
no
19th century,
yeah, and they showed they first zoomed in on how it showed that they were in the middle of a war, and then you hear Bill saying, "Hey, we're in the middle of a war right now," and then it kind of takes them a few minutes to catch on that they're in the middle of the war.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, but he's like, yay, kind of excited. And then Napoleon sees him, and he gets...
That's where Napoleon... I think that was funny, because Napoleon just kind of nonchalantly says, "What is that?" And then he says, "Blow him up." He's just... just kind of, and that was the joke.
I also like when they had him get, like, trapped in that time thing, and then they never noticed his feet sticking out of the tree. And then he fell down.
So, do you think there was a lesson in the movie? What would that lesson be?
Probably...
Just don't be dumb. I thought the one thing that I noticed, there was one little part at the end, and I didn't remember it from before, but I thought that it was kind of cool. They tried to just add a little something to it. And when Ted said at the end, he talked to Bill, and he's like, how do you say to Bill? He said, "You know, Bill, maybe we should just learn how to play or get lessons." Or something. And I thought that was kind of cool, that it was like, after all of this, they've
actually learned something instead of like just
it's like
think of this as this amazing adventure and how
It's
it was just for us, and really it wasn't for the learning, it was just so we could pass the test.
Yeah, and they did take something from it. I think
Yeah.
that was nice.
I think that the lesson would probably be is that sometimes you're doing something really fun, but then it's always not just for the fun. Sometimes you can actually learn something from it.
I think also...
Like on field trips, when they have you go to those fun places, but then you're actually learning something from it.
And it was really a big field trip for them.
Yeah.
I thought that was also, I liked the idea because when I was watching it, that even though the characters were dumb and they were like not really good students, I didn't get the sense that they were bad students.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't smart, I guess, but you got the sense that they cared about getting through school, which I liked. Being a teacher, I just liked that idea that it was just like, oh, we hate school and this is stupid and we want to just, it's something else. It was like, you got a sense that they cared about passing, which was nice.
But I think the only reason Ted really cared about passing was because he'd have to go to the military school in Alaska.
I think Ted was just not very bright, and I think that he didn't know any better. But I think he never came off as being kind of a jerk in that way, I guess.
Yeah.
But then he was also funny.
He was also funny, yeah.
I think
Like when he said, Noah's wife.
Yeah, I mean, that was... The jokes and stuff was just to show that he was... Because when they were saying those things, they weren't really saying them to be like the kid in class who's being the class clown.
Yeah.
It didn't ever feel like that. It felt like just naturally, like they had no idea what it was, and they were just
they were
trying to do it, which I liked. I thought from a teacher's perspective, seeing that, I was like, oh, that's nice that they're trying it. Like if I had a kid in school like that who couldn't get the right answer but was still trying, I'd feel like, I hope you pass still, you know?
Yeah.
Like the girl.
Versus some kid who just is joking around and saying dumb stuff just to get other kids to laugh. It didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
How about this? What would you rate this movie? Grade A is the highest. Grade F. What would you say this is? Who's first? Who was Trey first?
I guess I'll go first. I'd probably say B, maybe A minus.
A B, maybe A minus?
Yeah.
Why? What drops it?
I think, maybe, I don't know, I just feel that it might have been able to be pushed to its max, like if you said so, if some of the moments had actually been spread out more and they had just made it slightly longer, I think that's what might have dropped it a little.
Like that part, I think, again, the interaction at the mall.
Yeah.
Seeing more of those characters besides them each just doing kind of one thing, but having them... I just love seeing those characters interact. Yeah.
Like when Billy the Kid, like, kind of collaged with the...
With Socrates?
Yeah.
Socrates. I still love that part. I love when they mispronounce the names. It's Socrates. You're like, dude, you gotta look under Socrates. But they're the two coolest. Yeah, I liked how they interacted. I just wanted to see like
I also
Socrates.
liked when Billy the Kid also interfered at the mall when they were getting chased by cops, and they were in the ice rink. I kind of like how it's like, oh yeah, he just came out of nowhere and he's also getting chased by cops.
Oh, that was the funny part was when he came through with the gun and he shot his gun, and then Socrates came right behind him. He's got like a little twig. I just love. I don't know. Socrates is so awesome in that movie because he's almost like Bill and Ted. He has no idea what's going on. He's supposed to be like this amazing guy, and I think.
But he's a bit different because he's trying to be like everyone else, like in that scene where he's all...
I think I like how they show him as how he's trying to adapt, kind of.
Yeah. He's trying to evolve and be with what's going on. Although, actually, I think from what I've remember of philosophy class, I think that might be closer to what people actually believe his personality was that he was kind of...
Able to adapt?
No, he was... From what I understand, he was very bright bright enough, but he was also like kind of didn't have good social EQ, like he couldn't understand social things. So he would always like ask people questions, and that was kind of the Socratic method. Was somebody says something, you ask them questions, and blah blah blah, and then you basically somebody says something. If you ask them the question, they got to keep answering these questions, and it tests their theories. And but apparently maybe not the smartest guy. He just the way he approached things is the way that we think of it. And I wonder if that was kind of put into the character too. This idea that he's just kind of there too.
Yeah.
I also like the part when they were first showing Socrates, when he was showing the sand and stuff, and then they just kind of walked right in, and then everyone turned their attention to them.
Oh,
And
Well, that would have been a school actually back then. That's the cool part. That would have been kind of like that would have been like a university. That's your college. You go there and you sit around and do that.
But
Well, let's get Xavier's real quick.
Okay.
Xavier, what was your grade for the movie?
I'll probably say, I'll give it an A-.
An A-?
Cause
What?
I didn't like when they had first the cursing, and then like Son said, they could have pulled out the mole part a little bit, but I don't think the mole part gives it that much, so I'm giving it an A-.
I would say if it's me, I would put it probably at a B, an even B. Mostly just because there was a couple things like, there were a couple parts in that was kind of dead. It was just like the part where they're doing the cleaning. It was funny, but it's like, why is that there? There's no reason for it.
Yeah.
There's a couple parts like that. I think the whole police thing was just so quick at how it happened.
Yeah.
I think.
But it was, I mean, for what it was a good movie because I'm guessing they didn't spend a lot of money to make it. But do you guys have any closing thoughts? We are getting over time here.
For the musicians out there, when you notice when they went to get Socrates, I'm pretty sure it was Ted because Bill told him, "Say something, dude," and then he's like,
He quoted the Scorpions song.
Yeah, "Dust in the Wind."
Or no, that's not Scorpions. That's Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he quoted that song, and then they
No,
had to
he
kind of-
actually said the words to that song.
Yeah, and then he, Socrates didn't quite understand, so they actually had to kind of show him. It's like showing a little kid, by showing him pictures, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's like trying to teach a little kid how to read.
Mm-hmm.
They see the pictures and understand how to...
what's going on?
Yeah.
I like also when they were going their first time without Rufus, and they were looking through the pages, and then they're like, "Oh, let's go get Beethoven."
Yeah.
Once they had Billy the Kid,
Yeah.
they're like, "Let's go get Beethoven." It's like that's kind of funny because it's like it's a Beethoven, but they have to make him kind of dumb, so they're like, "Oh, this."
Well, I think that's when he's looking. That's when they're looking through the book and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Beethoven," and then so again, this movie roughly a B and A, I think, by our standards. This is the first episode, so if you were listening the last time, then you're pretty amazing because we didn't really do anything yet. But this has been Watching Movies with My Kids, the podcast to end all podcasts, hopefully. And that's all we have for you. I'm Patrick, and
Zion?
Xavier.
and we're just going to say goodbye. Thank you for listening, if anybody ever does listen.
Peace out, dudes!